front of you.
Good evening, everyone. Just a word of information. This is the council meeting. If you're here for the zoning or hearing, it's out in the other room before we get started. Just make sure everyone's in the right room. We're going to call the Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 council meeting to order. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're going to have a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Sabosley, if you take roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilman Dern?
Here.
Councilman Majernik? Here. Councilman Purcell?
Here.
Councilman Schlock?
Here.
Councilwoman Rossler?
Here.
Councilman Seitz?
I'm here.
Councilman Taylor?
Here.
Mayor Schlegel?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. First up, I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of October.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Rossler. All those in favor? Motion carries. Next, I need a motion to approve the expenses for the month of October.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the October 16th, 2024 council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Brings us to recognitions of achievement in the community. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. This recognition is long overdue. Jim, would you please come up here to the front? And man, you're as white as I am on top. As I said, this recognition has been many years late. And one of the things we like to do here is recognize those in our community that have had a huge impact on it over years. With that said, this is a certificate of recognition for James Kachurik. Jim Kachurik has had a huge impact on the young athletes of Plum Boro for decades. He has provided an enjoyable and safe sporting experience for our youngsters, while they learned individual and team skills, sportsmanship, and fair play. Teamwork, sportsmanship, and perseverance cultivate a strong sense of belonging and purpose in these young athletes. This not only enhances team cohesion, but also helps young athletes develop a sense of identity and meaning beyond the game. He taught them that athletics is more than winning and losing. I first met Jim when my sons, who are now in their 50s, played midget football. He was one of the coaches. Jim continued to the present day to have an impact on young athletes in our community by volunteering his time and talent as a coach. Jim was a Plum youth football coach for over 9 years, an assistant coach, football coach for Plum High School for over 15 years. And over 15 years as the junior and senior high school basketball coach. Jim has spent 29 years as the YMCA youth basketball coach and 10 years as Plum youth baseball coach, both in-house and travel teams. He has volunteered as a coach of the Plum High School girls basketball team, and for 25 years, he's been a PIAA baseball umpire. And he spent 6 years coaching youth travel basketball. We are honored to recognize Jim Kachurik's commitment to the youth of Plum Boro, as he did not work for personal glory. His satisfaction came through the achievement of those he helped. it is appropriate that we recognize Jim Kachurik and accord him the recognition and honor he so richly deserves. In witness whereof, I do hereby affix my signature and the seal of the Borough of Plum on this 13th day of November, 2024. Jim, thank you for all you've done. And Mr. President, that's all I have tonight.
It was enough whereases to last us for a while. Okay, that brings us to civic announcements.
Hi everyone, I'm Pam Calfa from the Plum Library. I just want to take a moment to thank Plum Boro for hosting at this beautiful municipal building our trunk or treat, which was on Wednesday, October 23rd. We had 150 kids and their parents here. It was a fantastic event, and we are so looking forward to partnering with the borough next year. We had a few of the fire departments come. We'll be inviting more next year. We had Brian and his team from Plum EMS. We had the police department. So I just want to thank everyone in the community who made it a great event. I think this was our 5th year doing it, so every year it gets bigger and bigger and more involvement. So we already have a date on the calendar. Mona grabbed me for a date the night of, so we'll be looking forward to that. At the library, we do have a few programs before the end of the year. Be sure to check our calendar. But I just want to thank everyone for supporting the library, and we had a really, really successful year in the community. Thank you.
Any other civic announcements? Okay, president's comments, I really don't have any. Moves us to citizens' comments on any agenda item. Anyone wish to speak on any of the agenda items? Okay, we'll move into council actions. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Majernik, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 106-24, approving the application for lot and block 966-K-370, 521 Farneth Road through the Allegheny County Vacant Property Program as recommended by staff.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Skip Taylor. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 1007-24, approving the application for lot and block 738-L-153 at 566 Unity Center Road through the Allegheny County Vacant Property Program as recommended by staff.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to approve the waiver and modification request submitted by the Oakmont Water Authority as part of their proposed land development plan. This includes a waiver to eliminate a landscape island and a modification approving a 0-foot setback from the existing building to the parking lot.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Slock. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 1008-24, granting preliminary final land development approval SP-03-24 to the Oakmont Water Authority for their project at 390 Coxcomb Hill Road, lot and block 532-F-55 and 532-F-1 155, contingent upon completing the outstanding items identified in the borough's letter dated October 22nd, 2024.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to accept the application for the Wannagat proposed simple subdivision FSC-05-24 as complete.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to accept the application for the SRK Real Properties Proposed Lot Line Revision FSC-06-24 as complete.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to reapprove the Patriot Estates Consolidation Plan, FSC-08-22, as recommended by staff.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Schlock. Any discussion?
One question. Dave, I know we talked about this this summer, and there were some things that you had, we discussed about. You said that we were still waiting for some of the things that they needed to come to us and finish up. Did we get all that stuff handled?
This is item number 7, the Patriot Estates.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a waiting game, mainly on their part. If you remember, this was originally approved by this council 2 full
Yeah,
years ago.
Right.
So it's nothing that we have done. They're just trying to get their ducks in order. So DJ, I know that you've been working with them, and I think that everything seems to be in line. We're just waiting for them to sign the development agreement and get ready to move forward.
Wasn't this a time frame?
Yeah, I think we even had pre-construction meeting with them and everything. It was just one of those things for whatever reason on their side, and we're not privy to what they discussed. Things just paused. We didn't hear what happened or why, but yeah, it all relates back to their effort to record this plan within the 90-day window. So this is just reapproving it to continue with that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so without this consolidation plan being recorded, they can't do anything. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, okay, good, thanks.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Majernik. Pardon me. Mr. Seitz, Personnel Management, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to approve the IT Support Specialist job description and to authorize staff to advertise the position.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to approve the Senior Executive Assistant job description.
Motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint Nicole Aricia as Senior Executive Assistant at an annual salary of $60,000 effective November 14th, 2024.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint Nicole Aricia as the Right to Know Officer.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? Mr. Purcell seconds it. Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Since Nikki's over here today, I would like to just thank her for taking on these extra duties, and we know you're going to do a great job with it.
Good luck.
Also, on behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to make a conditional offer of employment to John Grum as a Department of Public Works mechanic.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Is there a second? I have a second by Ms. Rossler. Any discussion?
just one question, will he, did we get that done as far as, will he always be a mechanic now?
So he's being hired as a mechanic, so the issue you're talking about probably won't be solved until the next contract. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'd also like to point out that Mr. Brum is apparently here tonight, so congratulations and welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, congratulations.
Thank you for coming.
Keep smiling.
On behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, I move to authorize staff to advertise for a Department of Public Works laborer.
Motion on the floor, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve Bill Burchek as a full-time road supervisor in the Department of Public Works effective November 14th, 2024.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second from Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve the proposed 2025 council meeting schedule.
Motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve moving the start time of the December 9th, 2024 council meeting to 5:30 p.m.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Seitz. Any discussion? Any second? Second by Ms. Rossler. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All I have.
Okay, that moves us to Ms. Rossler, behalf of the Public Safety Committee.
Thank you. On behalf of the Public Safety Committee, I move to adopt ordinance number 984-24, amending the current civil service regulations.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Rossler. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Mr. Taylor, behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, I move to adopt resolution number 1009-24, approving the 2025 Borough App schedule.
Motion on the floor presented by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Schlock, on behalf of the Finance Committee.
Thanks, Mr. President. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to accept and approve the audit proposals from Mayor Dussel for the years ending December 31st, 2025, 2026, 2027, with the option to renew for 2028 and 2029. Contracts are for the borough, the real estate tax office, the community center, and the library.
Motion on the floor presented by the Finance Committee. Mr. Schlock, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Second by Mr. Majernik. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to advertise the 2025 proposed annual budget as presented by the Finance Committee and to place a copy of the proposed budget on public display at the Municipal Center.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Schlock. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Brings us to Mr. Purcell, on behalf of the Roads, Equipment and Grants.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment and Grounds Committee, I move to approve resolution number 1010-24 to enter into an agility agreement with PennDOT for the purpose of future negotiations to barter services and/or materials.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Seitz. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
On behalf of the Roads, Equipment and Grounds Committee, I move to enact ordinance number 985-24, replacing the current solid waste recycling ordinance.
I have a motion on the floor presented by Mr. Purcell. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Seitz. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And on behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, I move to approve resolution number 1011-24, authorizing the submission of a local share account grant application.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That ends the council actions. And before we move to the mayor's report, Mr. Sabosley, if you would, please.
Someone's gonna turn it off. I can't get on. Thank you. Just a quick note for our audience here and people watching on TV. One of the things you're going to see happening over the next few months, the borough is going to be changing their billing system for solid waste and stormwater. Right now, that billing is part of your bill from the Plum Boro Municipal Authority, which comes either on a monthly basis or if you're an Oakmont Water subscriber on a quarterly basis. Keystone Collections, who is our current EIT collector, will be doing that collection. So probably in the next week or so, right before the holiday, we're going to be issuing a Savvy Citizen Alert, Facebook, etc., bringing you back to a link on our website to a document, a PowerPoint that pretty much describes how this is going to happen. So there's going to be a little bit of pain. You know, change is a tough thing, but we want to get the word out and give you as much information as we can, and certainly questions that you have, we're more than willing to answer. So just keep an eye open on your social media for that, and we hope to get the word out so there's a little less confusion next year when we make this change for this billing. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sabosley. And that brings us to our favorite part of the meeting, the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. In October, our police made 1,004 calls for service, and that's a slight decrease from the previous month. And one of the things I'm always excited about is when getting in with what our police do within the community. And on October 23rd, our police department and the Plum Boro School District worked to identify problem school bus stops in the district. We have a lot of people that don't come to a full stop or try to pass a school bus while the lights are flashing. Obviously, everybody knows that's a no-no, but some people continue to do that. And on October 22nd, our new lieutenant, the Records Administrator Judy Burgoyne and Executive Assistant Danielle Fusco participated in a fact-finding meeting for the possible use of a Carfax system for law enforcement for checking ownership. And on October 23rd, they participated in the Plum Library Trunk or Treat event, which was well attended. And I've got pictures and you guys can't see them. And the other thing that brings me, if you'll notice, our officers are looking a bit scruffy. This being No Shave November. It's an annual thing that they do. They participate in, they pay $50 to do this in October and November, and this year, January. So they're gonna look pretty scruffy until January. That money that they pay into is used to buy toys for the kids when we go around. And now that brings me to my favorite part, which is thoughtful citizens. On October 3rd, Michael Cerniglia, Michael's Painting, provided Oakmont Bakery cookies and donuts to our officers for their continued service to our community. And Michael does this quite frequently during the year. On the 13th of October, our department was invited to the Holy Family Parish to attend a recognition mass for first responders. and following a reception at Our Lady of Joy Church. Unfortunately, most of our officers were busy with calls for service and were not able to attend that day, but we do appreciate it. On October 28th, Amplified Church provided donuts from Oakmont Bakery to our officers in honor of First Responders Day. On the 28th, Annie's Gourmet Cupcakes provided cupcakes for our officers in honor of First Responders Day. On October 30th, Pat and Stan Kazmarski again provided 2 large boxes of Hers Variety Snacks in appreciation of our officers' continued service to the community. Borough resident Marilyn Bott sent a card in recognition of officers Perry DeLuca and Dylan Condis for their quick response, thorough and courteous and reassuring demeanor while checking her residence for suspicious activity complaint on October 18th. Councilman Schlarch provided our department with a variety pack of land sandwiches, crackers for our department's traffic and pedestrian safety efforts during the local parade. And notice I haven't said I've been invited. And on October 28th, my lovely wife provided home-baked chocolate and pumpkin cookies for our officers. And I knew I wasn't going to be invited, so I ate them in the car on the way down. And this is a special one. He does a lot for this community, and I'm going to recognize him. I just thought of that now. And this goes many thanks to Mark Serrao of the Oakmont Bakery. Mark donated a large assortment of donuts, muffins, bagels, and danishes for a training event here in Plum. And that had to do with the Eastern Allegheny Traffic Safety Alliance hosted a below 100 training event, and we hosted it here. And Mark donated everything, and we do appreciate that, Mark. And sir, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. That brings us,
One more thing, excuse me, may I?
no, you already said you're done.
Tough. Well, you almost said it, but tough. One of the things I wanted to bring up, and I wanted to say, I had asked, and I brought it up in October, or in September, I had asked Jim Sims of Holiday Park Fire Department to give me some idea of what the cost would be for a full-time employee's fireman. And he got it back to me last month. Unfortunately, I wasn't here. Let me give you an idea. Now, when they send out their requests for donations, people send in money, and not everyone does that. North Strabane Township, 16 full-time employees, supplemented by part-time and volunteers, $2,724,000. Mount Lebanon, 18 full-time, $3,800,000. Peters Township, $1,005,000. City of McKeesport, they have 16 full-time, 16 part-time firefighters. Their annual budget is $3.2 million. They are all smaller than we are in area and number of residences and buildings, and obviously citizens. You can give $50 is what they ask. If you can give 100, give 100. It affects us 2 ways, or affects you, the citizens, 2 ways. $50 is a small amount to pay on a yearly basis. If our officers, the police or the firemen don't go through all their training, that affects your hazard insurance is going to go up. Not only that, if we do a paid fire department here in Plum, that's a 1.2 mil increase forever. So if you want to save money, both on your hazard insurance and certainly on your property insurance or property taxes, then it's best to send $50 in when they ask. The same thing with EMS when they have their drives. $50 each isn't that much to give a year. If you can't afford it, send them something. Do not send nothing, because it's only going to affect you in your pocketbook later on. I used an example earlier. There was a neighbor of ours years ago, Christmas Eve, house caught on fire. I'll bet you he was willing to write a check for whatever amount they needed to put that fire out. Christmas Eve, they responded. He lost his house and all the gifts and everything inside. And the sad part was, he never gave a dime when they asked for it. So the question is, they will come, regardless of the situation, regardless of the weather. Give them $50 a year. If you can give more, give more. It's going to save you money in the long run. Sir, I'm done. Thank you.
Are you sure?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, this moves us to the committee reports. The Intergovernmental Cooperative Committee, Mr. Sabazi will be reaching out to Dr. Walsh, and we will get one of those meetings scheduled here in the near future for probably next month. Moves us to Mr. Seitz with the Personnel Committee.
I have no report to speak.
Okay, that moves us to Mr. Schlock with the Finance.
Thanks, Mr. President. General fund highlights for the month of October 2024. The borough recognized revenues totaling $3,344,124 and incurred expenditures in the amount of $1,238,067. Revenues to date, we have received approximately $5.77 million in current year real estate tax revenues, and this represents 90% of the adopted budget. During the month of October, the borough received $179,400 under earned income tax, and we are currently at 85% of the budget. A total of $199,528 was received against the sanitation current line, and it is currently 82% of the current budget. Overall, revenues are trending slightly above budget. Expenditures. Through the month of October, the borough has expended 75% of the budget, or $11.97 million. From a departmental standpoint, projected year-end spending will be below the adopted budget. The finance director met with department heads and the borough manager to review the 2025 budget submissions. A finance committee meeting was held on October 15th in preparation of the proposed budget presentation to council. After analyzing next year's cash flow position, it is estimated that the borough's tax anticipation note for 2025 will be $1.5 million. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Schlock. Mr. Purcell, Roads, Equipment and Grants.
Thank you, Mr. President. Roads, Equipments and Grounds Committee report. The Holiday Park Stormwater Pipe Replacement Project that runs from Blue Ridge Road to Tivoli Road will start in December. The Abers Creek Road Stormwater Pipe Replacement Project has started and will continue until late November. The lighting on the flagpoles at the Borough Building on Mike Thomas Way has been rectified and all flags are in place. The American flags and military banners hanging on the light poles along Mike Thomas Way will be, and I've noticed they have been taken down after Veterans Day, which was November 11th. These banners and flags will be stored and put back up around Memorial Day next year. And the annual leaf pickup started on Tuesday, October 15th. There were 480 cubic yards of leaf material picked up in the month of October. There are 3 leaf vacuums that collect the leaves. As the volume of leaf material increases, this may impact the capability of collecting leaves on the routes as scheduled. Residents should be patient and refrain from calling the borough and requesting a pickup for missed leaves. All leaf material will eventually be picked up. That is all I have for roads, equipments, and grounds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. Ms. Rossler, Public Safety.
Thank you. Okay, I have information for people that are interested in taking their kids to breakfast with Santa. Unity Volunteer Fire Department is selling tickets, $10 a ticket. You get breakfast, photo with Santa, and a craft hot chocolate bar, and more. And this is on December 7th at 9 a.m. So you can reach out to Unity and purchase tickets. And for more information, you can call the fire department or go onto Facebook. So I have that. Also, Renton Fire Department, they are running a fundraiser right now. It is a virtual toll bash. So if you're interested in a virtual toll bash, go onto the Renton Fire Department, contact them, or go onto Facebook. So those are two ways that you can support your fire departments. Also, I have just a reminder to please make sure your house numbers are clearly visible from the street to help our first responders. And also, this is a big one here. If you have a hydrant in your yard, please make sure the hydrants are clear and accessible. Please don't landscape around the fire hydrant. And just a little FYI, this year, Renton Fire Department, they have been 75 years of service, and next year is Unity Volunteer Fire Department, and it'll be their 100th year.
Wow.
So, that's all I have. Thank you. Oh, Mr. Maloney, I'm sorry, from EMS is here. Thank you.
I saw you, Brian.
I appreciate it. I always do. Brian Maloney, Director of Operations, Plum EMS. I'm going to piggyback on what the mayor was talking about, also what Ms. Rosser was saying. I cannot give the fire departments of Plum Boro enough credit for what they do. They're a volunteer organization, and they're there for Plum EMS all the time. Whether it's a quick response service that they do for medical or trauma calls, or if we need help on an incident trying to get somebody out of a house, they are always there. So I'm with the mayor when it comes down to if you can support them, please do. So that's a good thing going on there. Now for EMS, for Plum EMS, we ended up responding to 263 calls last month, transported 158. It was a busy time for the crews, and they actually did an amazing job getting back into the community, because we only turned over less than 5% of calls needed in Plum to mutual aid services. We needed help, so they were amazing when it came down to that. We ended up responding to mutual aid 12 times in the neighboring communities, transported 11 of those patients. So I can never give the crews enough credit for what they do. They go above and beyond. They're striving for excellence. It's a great group of people. But along with running emergency calls, one of the things I'm very proud and happy about, because it's one of the funnest things I do throughout the year, is that we're partnering up with the fire departments, along with Oakmont and Concordia at Ridgewood, to help the school district with their Stuff-A-Bus. Everybody's collecting toys, and it's the most incredible thing to see this parade of emergency vehicles as we go into the high school, and there's all these toys to unload. It's just an amazing thing, and it really truly is one of the best parts of the year for me to be a part of something along those lines. So we will be out at Christmas at Plum Creek Park, or Plum Creek, when we do it here at the Borough Building. We'll actually be at our station collecting toys. We're going to be advertising as well, so when people come off the buses, hopefully they got some toys for us. Last month, we ended up doing 4 car seat safety checks, gave away 2 free car seats, so that program is still going incredibly well. Like Ms. Pam said, we were here for the trunk or treat. We were at Pivot Elementary as well, and we ran out of candy. And that was like a nightmare for the person there, let me tell you, for those kids showing up. So the fire department was there for us that night as well, hooking us up with some candy. So it was a great time with that. The other thing, past couple years, we've been actually striving on a safety program focusing on appropriately using lights and sirens in EMS. Because I've said before, ambulances become the most dangerous vehicle out on the roadway the moment we turn our lights and sirens on. Responding to a call, we increase chances of getting into a crash by 50%, transport to the hospital by 300%. And so 2 years ago, we really focused on using them appropriately and safely. And since then, we've received national recognition. I've done presentations in Colorado at a national safety convention. And even within this past month, I've done 4 presentations because more organizations and people want to get on what Plum EMS is doing. I have to give the crews 100% credit for this. They're the ones making the decisions on how to do this and doing it safely. It was amazing. 2 local presentations, 1 regional and 1 statewide, just within this past month about what Plum EMS is doing. And so once again, these crews really do everything they can, not only for the safety of themselves, their patient, but the community as well. So as always, I appreciate it. And any thoughts or questions, comments, a little story to make me smile?
Wait, I do have something to make you smile.
All right.
Asking for you. So I got a joke.
All right, what do you got?
What do you call a couple of EMTs?
A paramedic?
You got it. Paramedics.
Yeah.
You win.
Well, the question is, I always say, what makes a good what makes a good paramedic? A good EMT. Because an EMT and paramedic is what we crew on our trucks. And like in order to be a good paramedic, you have to have a good partner. So that's one of the things we always make sure we, like with our EMTs, including Don Marie, they're some of the best. I love them.
All right, I'll get you a better one next week.
All right,
Stump you.
I'll take it.
Next
I'll
one.
take it. So,
Thanks, Brian.
anything else? Excellent. Have a good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Vicki, you're done? Okay, Mr. Majernik, Planning and Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. Planning and Economic Development Committee report. There were 113 permits issued for a total of $19,506 in revenue. The zoning hearing board did not meet in October. They are scheduled to meet in November. Staff performed storm basin inspections. Code enforcement completed 111 residential and apartment occupancy inspections, addressed and inspected 46 violations, complaints, and Borough Connects for junk debris, abandoned vehicles, vacant structures, rodents, occupancy violations, and illegal dumping. 12 letters of violation have been sent. Thank you, that's all.
Okay. And last but not least, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. The trimming and grass cutting maintenance of the parks were ongoing during the month, as well as the weekly routine safety inspection of the Plum Creek Park Playground was completed in the month of October. New handicap signs were installed in the front parking lot of the community center, as well as new directional traffic signs added between the exit of the community center and the entrance of the library. The library had its quarterly building safety inspection completed on October 15th, 2024. Borough Haps will be hosting Christmas at Plum Creek on November 5th from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Don't miss the food trucks, the Santa shops, free hot chocolate, and a holiday music performance by the Plum High School students. On December 5th, the municipal building will close at noon for the Christmas at Plum Creek event. Staff will work adjusted hours on this date. And I encourage everybody to try to make it December 5th for our Christmas at Plum Creek. It's a really, really nice event for the public and the children also. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. That concludes our committee reports. Does anybody wish to speak on any non-agenda item? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn. I have a motion presented by Mr. Majernik. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion on that?
Just one last thing. I want to welcome the new mechanic aboard. Welcome aboard.
Okay, all those in favor? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Nice Thanksgiving.
I think I told you they. Start working again. Sounds like they're willing to do something. Yeah, she's working that up. So she's 12 hours.
The last week.
You guys enjoy yourself though.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Charlie, good luck. All right.